Welcome back to the Focus Podcast. Today we have Jay Cain with Jay Cain PLLC on the show. Thanks for coming in, Jay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. We've seen each other a few times. Shot a video for the firm. I know you're going through some rebranding, which is
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
Bumped into you at the summit, and that was really cool. So I definitely wanted to have you on because anytime we do a video project, it's very interesting to me on why people do what they do.
hmm
And even with an attorney, we kind of get a behind the scenes look
hmm
at what's going on with the business. And what was really intriguing when we were interviewing you is you are heavily involved in the automotive industry.
hmm
And just so everyone knows, Jay is a M&A attorney, so mergers and acquisitions. And we shot some footage at an automotive dealership, and it got me thinking, like, okay, why automotive? Why did you decide to carve out that niche?
Well, it wasn't necessarily intentional. I've had a long career now, 11 and a half years as general counsel for a family enterprise that's heavily involved in the automotive industry. But they've involved in things beyond that: commercial real estate, residential real estate, restaurants, a number of different things that are kind of peripheral to the automotive industry. But the automotive industry is kind of where my home's been in my career for the past well over a decade now, and it's just kind of the people that I've met is really how I've ended up in this industry. It's been the ones that have been brought into my life, and I've taken those relationships and the pieces that have been given to me, and I crafted that in a way to now where I do the M&A work in the automotive industry primarily.
You touched on something, and you said that the people that have been
hmm
brought to you. And another thing that I love about what we do, when we're on location with a client,
hmm
you can really tell if they care about what they're doing.
hmm
And what was really neat is when we went out to, what was the city that we went out to?
Mahia, Texas.
Mahia, Texas. We
hmm
went out to Mahia, and from the front door to the service technicians to the sales guys,
hmm
the interactions they loved you, you loved them. Like, it was authentic. Like, and when you think about your attorney, that typically doesn't come to mind. So just the lay person out there,
Right.
your typical person. We
Right.
picture, you're behind the desk, you're in the courtroom, you're doing these things, but not really like with the people. And that was one thing that really stood out to me, was like, these people just like love this guy, and he likes being here. Like, this is great. This wasn't just a dog and pony show. Like, hey, we're going to shoot some shots. Like, this
Right.
was authentic stuff. Tell me, like, what goes into that? Like, how did you develop that, both and the intellectual piece and the emotional intelligence?
Well, I mean, that's just being who I am. As you're describing that, I'm thinking back. I grew up in a smaller town in Texas, in Sherman, Texas, and more or less, it's a community of working people and everyday people, and those are the people that I grew up around. Those are my friends' parents were everyday people, that worked in different industries, and so it's part of that, and then it also goes back to just being in the industry for so long and working and having that opportunity. I don't know. This is an opportunity to get to work with people of different walks of life. Um, and so, I'm well versed in it, both from just growing up, talking to what I don't know what term I want to put on it, whether it's everyday people or working people or whatever the correct term is I'm thinking. But, those are the kind of people that oftentimes are working a role in an automotive dealership. They may be doing something with their hands in the service department. They may do the same thing in the parts department. They may be, very people focused in the sales side. And so, and then at the same time, you have the people in the back office, the accounting people. I've worked a lot with accountants. And so I never thought of myself of being able to talk well to different kinds of people, but being honest with myself, I am able to do that, and I'm not kind of cordoned off to the professional, world or the white collar or the glass tower world of only interacting with the booze, and thankfully so.
Right.
Thankfully so.
Yeah. And you could really sense that too when we were there. That yeah, that wasn't your vibe at all. Which was really cool to see from an attorney. And then speaking of which, when I was younger, you just picture an attorney. As you get older, you understand there's different types of attorney. You could be a business attorney. You could be M&A. You could
Right.
be a family law attorney. There's different segments within that. What steered you towards mergers and acquisitions specifically?
Well, again, having the opportunity to work as an in-house attorney for so long and kind of seeing all the different legal issues that a large enterprise faces, and getting to work on various different parts of the law, pretty much outside of criminal law, is the only area where I really haven't done much work. But I like mergers and acquisitions because there's a beginning and an end to it.
Mm.
A lot of times in the legal world, there'll be issues or disputes that go on, without some end. I call it the ball spinning up in the air.
Yeah.
And for me, I love that feeling of accomplishment of finishing a task. And so what really draws me to mergers acquisitions is that we're going to start this, and at the end of it, we're going to shake hands and be done with this project and be able to celebrate that success. But two, it's getting that interaction with people, and not in a negative way. A lot of times in the legal world, interactions can be negative or turn negative. And there's a different skill set for that. But on a mergers and acquisitions transaction, oftentimes we're working collaboratively with one another. It's not always that way, trust me. But it's that's one thing that's drawn me to it, is that, collaborating with people towards a positive end, getting that accomplishment, and underneath all of that, being able to really help somebody realize a dream. I mean, buying a business, a lot of times, a lot of my clients have been first-time business owners, and that's a major hurdle in somebody's life. Right. And being a partner with them in that, or helping them achieve that goal, feels really rewarding. And I don't always soak that in enough, because on the day we'll call a closing, when we're at a closing, my mind is kind of in my inbox or my phone or the next person that I have to walk over and go see. It can be kind of a hectic environment, but I wish that I could kind of step away from that at some of these closings and take a step back and look at the big picture and see, look what we're doing.
Yes.
We're helping somebody realize a dream, and we're establishing a new journey that's going to impact multiple lives. And you see that too when you're at a car dealership and we're transitioning ownership, we're closing the deal. You see kind of the people that are going to be a part of that in the future, and you see that their paths are just starting new too. And again, I wish it's something that I took it in more, but I'm usually so focused on the next task to get everything across the finish line that even when we're sitting in front of the store taking pictures and celebrating, my mind's not there. My mind's back in whatever email I need to get back to,
right,
to finish the deal.
Man, that's so relatable in a couple of different ways. In that the means to the end, same thing with us. We love a project because there's a means to an end. There's the deliverable, and then sending the video and then waiting for the text to say like, wow, thank you for this asset or whatever the case is. But something you touched on that, again, I need to do a better job of is the impact, or it's not just a video. Like, this is a big deal for our clients to invest in this. So that's something, again, that I saw with you, that you truly care about the result of what you're doing and not just the practice of what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's really the kind of the skill that's allowed me to be successful in this space and to set me apart, is that at the forefront of my mind is the knowing that we have a deal here. And if we don't get the deal done, then we'll have failed the purpose that we started out for. And so I know that matters to a buyer. I know that matters to a seller. And I know that my role in that has to be on the same page as everybody else. The lawyer has to be on the same page as everybody. We're all moving towards this end together, this common goal. And at the forefront of everything is the deal. We can't let the deal dissipate. We can't let it be spoiled. We have to to preserve that value of the deal that so many people have worked to create. And then I've been given the responsibility to effectuate.
Oh, that's good. And speaking of getting the deal done, you talked earlier about issues that may come up. What are some of the common legal pitfalls that may happen during an acquisition, whether it's on the seller's end or the buyer's end? What are some pitfalls that
Well,
you
like they
can
can
help
come from
solve?
any direction, and that's what really takes the ability to have a level head and to multitask in the problem solving is. And in the deals that I work on, you could have an issue that comes up with a lender. We fail to meet a lender requirement. We're not going to get our funding and close on time. You could have an issue that comes up with the licensing. We don't have everything we need to get in the licensing.
Mm.
Or more often than not, in my world, we have everything to getting in for the licensing, and we're just at the mercy of the governing body of giving us that final approval. Other times there can be issues that develop between the buyer and the seller, and part of that's helping manage the emotions and helping manage the concerns in a way that keeps everything moving forward. And again, reminding everybody that we're here to do a deal and that's it, what everybody wants to happen. And so let's get that to the finish line. So the more I think, the more issues that could go wrong. Really at the end of it, I haven't been part of many deals that have fallen through at the end, at the very last moment. But when they do, they're usually happen because not because of the lender and not because of the government authority. It usually happens because of a failure to be able to compromise.
Yeah.
And so that's where, kind of the negotiation and the talking and the life skills come into play, is getting, whether it's two business partners or getting a buyer and seller to that point of compromise. That's really a skill that you develop over more and more of these deals that you do.
I think I'm glad you touched on that, because you do have that good hybrid of having the business acumen, but like you said, the life skills to be able to communicate that, because sometimes that's not a text message, that's not an email. You need the human pulse to be able to bridge that gap. It's sometimes it's not just academic, where a lot of people just think, oh, it's an attorney, it's just an academic skill. It's both and. You have to have that emotional EQ, if you will.
Yeah, there's more to it that you would think to just getting two people to sit down at a table together.
Yeah.
And then even once they're sitting down at the table together, getting them to come to an understanding. And, that's why one of the areas of my practice that I'm starting to grow too in mediation is I've noticed there's that crossover in skill set, and that, hey, if we're negotiating a business deal, there's a lot of consistencies that there are with mediating a dispute. And so I think that, that's an area I want to grow because I can use some of those same tools.
No, I love that piece, because like I said, it's both and from the outside looking in, you do a great job of that. One thing you mentioned at the top was your upbringing. And I know when we talked on location, when we shot your video, that you come from a family of attorneys.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that and the legacy that you would like to leave behind.
Yeah, absolutely. So my dad was a trial attorney. He had a successful career in a smaller community, but his community was beyond Sherman. It was North Texas and Texas in general. But I had an uncle who's an attorney. My dad, of course. I've had, family, friends, cousins. My brother's an attorney. They're kind of all around me growing up, and I'm the youngest in my family. So I was kind of in a position to where I kind of got to see all of these different personality types. And I'm not just even talking about my family, like friends that I knew growing up, their dads were attorneys as well. And it just kind of sort of happened to the area that I grew up in and the people, the relationships that I've had. And so I've known, attorneys of different personalities, different skill sets, different motivations. And like we talked about before, I had a long time to think about whether I even wanted to be an attorney.
Right.
Like I'd known so many. And then I'd also had a long time to think about what kind of attorney I wanted to be. Didn't always know the answer to that question. That was definitely a journey of discovery. But I definitely also learned what kind of attorney I did not want to be through that experience, and through growing up and around it. It can be a very challenging profession. I think that anybody that knows the legal profession knows enough that there's many people in it that aren't happy, and that can be for a number of reasons. But it can be a strain on you, and for various reasons. It can be a competitive field. Definitely competitive. There is winning and losing in it oftentimes. And that can be difficult because nobody can win all the time.
Right.
And then there's just kind of expectations that lawyers set for themselves that are hard to fulfill. I know, watching my dad as a successful trial attorney, I knew very well the ups and downs that he went through in his life, because he was successful. He won lots of cases in the courtroom, but there were also some that he didn't. And I saw the toll that took on him, and created a lot of strain in his life, and led to a lot of negative impacts. But he's not unique in that. There's a lot of attorneys like that. And again, I think that's probably how I found myself into mergers and acquisitions too, is learning how to avoid the kind of things, or at least having the luck to have that knowledge to know the kind of things that won't be good for you.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, I know some criminal attorneys that do very well, but if I had a client that I tried a case for and I lost, and that person was going to jail for 20 years, even if they were guilty, that would weigh on me immensely.
Yes.
And that's not a weight that I really want to carry in my life. And so that's why I've made the decision to be more in the business world when it comes to that, because and by the way, any criminal attorney out there that is carrying those kind of burdens, I really hope that that people realize that there are people that are carrying along that kind of weight.
Yeah.
In their day-to-day lives, because those that happen to be the clients that they represent.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people think about that aspect of it, because they could win, like you said, several cases, but it's going to be those few that they didn't.
Yeah,
they can really stick with them and haunt them. So
right.
I think, like you said, it's important that we remember that we're dealing with people.
Mm-hmm.
These are human beings with families and and mindsets. But I think that you, like you said, you have that level-headedness, about you. But that is wise to pick that, so that you can be there mentally, physically, emotionally for your family as well.
Yeah,
because it's not just you. You have a family that's counting on you as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and one thought that just popped in my mind is there's an attorney, a trial attorney that many attorneys respect. His name is Jerry Spence. He's a successful trial attorney. And one thing that he always talks about is that to be successful as an attorney, you have to care. You have to be good at caring. And if you stop for a moment and you really think about that, it is what separates you, the good ones from the bad ones, is that caring. But it also is what creates that pain, is because they do care. For me, I definitely carry that thought with me everywhere I go. I have to care about my clients. If I catch myself thinking that maybe I don't care about it, then I'm going to have to go find something else to do.
Right.
Because for me to be successful at what I'm doing, I have to care about the outcome. I have to care about my client, and I very much do so, almost to a fault sometimes, because sometimes I wonder, do I care more than they care? And so, as I've gotten into this career, I've kind of reminded myself of that, is that sometimes you can't allow yourself to care more about something than what your client actually does. Then you're overextended. Yeah. So that's part of being successful in tuna, is having that realization of who you're serving, what their needs are, what their limitations are, and can you actually help? Yeah.
And I think that's what makes the greats the great. Think about sports. Like Michael Jordan will tell you that, yeah, the 6 championships were great, but I guarantee you it haunts him on the ones he didn't win, or the shots he didn't make.
Right.
And it's because he cares so much. and you have to, yeah, like you said, kind of find that balance. But I would much rather have my attorney care more than not. You know what I mean? So it sounds like you're on the
You have to.
on a heavy
If your lawyer doesn't care, then you need to get a new lawyer.
right.
And it's not always evident, but and sometimes it takes time, unfortunately, for a client to come to that realization. But yeah, that's definitely it's hard actually finding an attorney because you're looking for that kind of person, and I think that's the one thing that that I've tried to focus on too in finding relationships with clients is building trust.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this quote that I have on my website, and I don't know if it's going to make it over to the new website, but we'll see. It goes that trust is developed one kept promise at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. Trust is built one kept promise at a time. And so how do you develop trust? By doing what you're saying you're going to do, and doing that the first time, and then the second time, and then third time. And that's small things too. I'm going to call you back tomorrow. Okay. I will call you back tomorrow.
Yes.
That's how you build trust. Following through on the small things adds up to greater trust on the bigger things.
I love it. And this has been such a refreshing conversation. I appreciate you kind of peeling the hood back. That way we can take a look at you and your practice. Again, every interaction that I've had with you has had that good mix. And I've said this from day one of like professional and trustworthy and warm. You don't find that a ton in the professional space, and I just love that. So for our audience listening out there, if they're out there saying, okay, I need a really good M&A attorney, and they're either thinking of buying a business, selling a business, what's the next step? How do they get in touch with you and set up a consultation? What does that look like?
Well, we're going to new website set up, jcain.law. And also LinkedIn's a great place. A lot of my clients are already professionals, already established on LinkedIn. It's as simple as a LinkedIn message. It can be that. Or it can be visiting the new website that we've been working on that Mario's been a great resource for, and creating the video production at jcain.law. And it's as simple as that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your knowledge with us, sharing a little bit about your story. I know we're better for it. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Anytime. I hope we do it again.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, until next time, my name is Mario Wilson with 12 Media Group. As always, if you need a professional video, we'd love to help. Until then, Mario signing off, where we put your brand in focus.